All right, welcome back to another sighting edition of wrenching on this old Mike Foxtrot truck. Military guys will know what that stands for. Anyways, it's been a little bit because, well, work, money, camera issues. Had to buy another camera. Yeah, but anyways, quick update. Out here wrenching on the Cummins here, and she needs some surgery. This radiator is about to bite the dust, which it appears to be the original one. It's leaking coolant out of the bottom, especially when I plug it in overnight. And I'm losing coolant out of the expansion tank, which got a new one of those because the old one's in my throw shit away pile over there. If I'm going to be replacing the radiator, I may as well go ahead and replace that. This thing is like $8, guys. There's no reason to hang on to this junky piece of crap if you're going to go ahead and do it. I recommend you do it anyways. You know, because all the crap that's in your coolant system is going to accumulate in the bottom of this thing. You'd be amazed at how much stuff builds up. But anyways, so I'm replacing the radiator, upper lower radiator hoses. I got the thermostat and gasket. Yeah, because this lower radiator hose down there, right here, it's really spongy. So it's going to blow out sooner or later, and before it leaves me on the side of the road and pisses me off, I'm just going to go ahead and knock it out. The other thing I'm going to do, waiting for the parts to come in from my local Cummins dealer, is the killer dowel pin kit, as they call it. What the killer dowel pin is, it's in 89 through, I believe, 01 Cummins engines. And what it is when they assemble these engines, your front timing cover, this section right here, contains the gears for your oil pump, camshaft, and the injector pump timing gear. And I think there's one other in there, but I can't remember. Oh, the power steering drive gear for the power steering pump down there. Because all the accessories, except for the fan and AC and alternator on a 12 valve Cummins, are driven by gears. What the killer dowel pin is it's a steel alignment dowel that is pressed into the block. It's down inside there, actually on the back side of the injector pump timing gear, between the injector pump gear and the cam gear. And what it does, it just simply aligns the back half of this gear case to the block when they assemble it. Well, over time and numerous heat cycles, they not necessarily will, but they can vibrate loose. And what will happen is if that steel pin drops down into steel gears, well, bad things can happen. Best case scenario is it falls out of there and falls down into your oil pan, and you might not ever know that has happened, except you may have a little bit of an oil leak off the front of the engine. More likely scenario is it will slam into this side of your timing cover, and you'll get a bad oil leak down. Camera won't focus because I don't have enough light, but down in there, adjacent to your fan clutch. Worst case scenario, this is why it's called the killer dowel pin, is it falls in between the timing gears and gets wedged, or tries to wedge itself between the two gears, which abruptly locks the engine, which can take out your cam gear, your injector pump gear, your crankshaft drive gear, your oil pump gear, or a whole bunch of other stuff. And at that point, it'll cost you an engine, or at least a short block. So bad juju. So whenever you guys are going to get this deep into an engine, just go ahead and knock it out. I mean, the parts total cost to replace is about $100, and that includes a new timing cover gasket from Cummins, or you can get them from Felpro or a couple other vendors, take your pick, as well as the seals for the oil fill, and the nose of the crankshaft goes through the front of this timing gear cover. So it comes with all that, and all those parts, genuine parts from Cummins, is about $120. You can get them from Felpro; they're a little bit cheaper, but you know what? This has genuine Cummins parts in it. I'm going to go ahead and just replace it, so I don't have to ever worry about it. Now, when I get that deep in there, if it's already been done, great. Then I just put Humpty Dumpty back together. But it's cheap insurance. Now, why am I going to do that? Well, because if I'm going to pull the radiator, and I'm going to replace the radiator hose, and I'm going to replace the belt, I'm going to replace everything else in this part of the engine, and I need that hand space to be able to do the killer dowel pin job anyways, since I'm already in there, go ahead and knock it out. It's a very inexpensive job parts-wise, quote-unquote, but it is expensive labor-wise. If you had a shop do this, expect to pay about $400 or $500, maybe a little more. That sounds about reasonable. It's about a 4-hour job, you know, to take everything apart, put it back together, because you got to drain the coolant off and a bunch of other garbage. So, and then you're going to run into, hey, while we're in here, you know, type things that the shop will try to bilk you for. Speaking of which, one of the things that I'm going to do, because it is getting slightly worse, especially back there by cylinder 4, she's piddling oil out of the valve covers gasket. I already went ahead and took the liberty of replacing one just because I wanted to get the a feel for what that is. Now, I know I literally just minutes ago said that I'm using genuine Cummins gaskets. Well, they're calling for rain for the next 4 or 5 days, and I really want to get my truck back, so I went ahead and got these at AutoZone. You know, the Felpro Cummins gaskets, they're damn near the same thing. Now, here's the thing. Whenever you do a valve adjustment on one of these engines, replace the frickin' gaskets. The valve adjustment had been done by the previous owner, but looking at these gaskets, I mean, yeesh, these things are rubber, and this thing is hard as plastic. Now, what happens is, and this one actually wasn't all that bad, but it was well on its way. Very stiff and brittle. Yep, see, look at that. Look at that shit right there. Boom! She's busted. Now, I bet you that's what's happened over here somewhere, because it is pissing oil out all over the top of the manifold back there, and to the point where I can smell it when I'm driving, and that's not good. So I'm going to go ahead and replace it. So, when you go ahead and do this, you know, right tools for the job and all that. Okay, so here's what I'm doing here in Redneck Garage. I have a, focus you bastard, a 15 millimeter wrench. It's probably not 15 mil, but it's close enough. You know, these things, these bolts that hold this valve cover on should not be torqued down to the point where you need an impact gun to get them off. Should not. I mean, they should be barely enough torque. I mean, and that's kind of sloppy, but barely enough torque to break them loose. If they're any tighter than that, and I don't have the torque spec on it, but if they are so hard where you gotta, you know, beat on them to get them loose, that's part of the problem why these things leak. Because half the time people replace these and they torque these damn things down so much that they actually damage the gasket here. So 15 mil. I got a screwdriver because I'm leaving on my fuel lines. So to clean down in these hard to reach areas, I'm doing it the redneck way. With a clean shop towel. This one's obviously dirty. Don't use a dirty one, use a clean one. And gently cleaning the gasket mating surfaces with a little bit of brake cleaner, or I'm using B12 carburetor cleaner just to get that oily stuff away. Very, very lightly, because you don't want that crap to get down in there. Now, you may need to give them a little bit of a love tap to break them loose. And when I mean love tap, I mean love tap. Don't go beating on the damn thing. These are aluminum. So, come over here to the corner. I've already taken the liberty of taking the bolt out. Give it a tap. See it moved? Okay, so this one's broke loose. And then, kind of tip it back. Kind of finagle it a little to get the old one off. Now, I can tell that when they took this off, just on initial examination, they did not do a great job of cleaning it before they put this back on. Because you see that, put it down here so I can point at it. You see this guy right there? There's a piece of crap. It looks just like a piece of dirt that was stuck on that mating surface, which may be contributing to the oil leak. Okay. Now this is also why they're called a 12-valve engine, because there are 2 valves per cylinder. Pretty simple math. I know I got a C, but I can count. So I am not going to be doing a valve adjustment, obviously, because they just did one, the previous owner, meaning they. But if you do one, there's a procedure, and I'm not 100% sure without looking at the book what that is, but you make your valve adjustments by loosening these two nuts here, and I will not be doing that, and then slowly screwing in or out on that with using a feeler gauge to get them within spec. The engine runs great. The previous owner said they did a valve adjustment when they had service done on the transmission, so I'm not going to fool with that. And I'm actually very pleased. I sent in an oil analysis sample to Blackstone Labs, and I've got no unusual amounts of wear metal. No moly, no iron, no chrome, no copper. What's the other one? Brass. Brass would be bad. You know, that'd be in the bearings, or in the turbo, or in the mains, or in the thrust bearings. No metal. And I had about 4,000 miles on the oil, and this engine has about 280,000 miles on it, which goes to show you that with regular maintenance, valve adjustments, you know, when you don't beat the shit out of it, these engines can last a long time. I mean, when the kids get a hold of these things and they want them to make, you know, 800, 900 horsepower on a stock bottom end, I mean, you're going to tear stuff up, obviously, but, you know, even the side of the block is clean. I mean, I've been really, really happy with this truck thus far. Everything I'm doing now is preventative maintenance because, you know, although in a previous video I said, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it till it is. Well, in this case, I'm not going to wait till it's broke, but I'm doing, you know, the radiator because it is leaking, and I'm going to do these valve cover gaskets because they are leaking. Now, to get these two middle ones is the fun one because you got to take this intake horn off. And I believe these are only 12 mils approximately, or maybe a quarter now. It's bigger than a quarter inch, something like that. Oh well, I got the book for that. But you take that bad boy off, and then you can get these ones out. And when you take this thing off, stick a rag or something in there so you don't get any debris down in your engine. Now the heater grid, because these engines do not have glow plugs, should stop it in case you're going to drop something large down there, but sand and dirt and stuff like that can make their way into the intake manifold, and you don't want to have any of that mess going on. So anytime you're going to leave this engine open for more than a minute or two, go ahead and cover this up. So what I'm going to do here, and I'm almost out of battery, so unfortunately I got to cut you loose here, guys, but I'm going to clean that mating surface down there all the way around. That's the screwdriver was for. Very, very gently. Then peel this garbage one off. Clean, 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 clean. Wipe, wipe, wipe. And then replace it with a nice new clean one. Tighten her back down and just rinse and repeat that process for all six. Hopefully I can do that for today before I run out of light. And then from there, the other thing I got, oh yeah, I got my new 4-inch downpipe. Go ahead and get a quick shot of that before the battery dies. So this, you know, Pipezilla here will be going in, and they actually make two versions of this. They actually make an HX35 for these. So if you had an HX35, HX40 style, it will actually line up. I'm keeping my exhaust side stock, so they had to put this other piece on. And then this is a full 4-inch. I mean, you could damn near roll a grapefruit through this thing. And then I got a step up down here already just mocked up on it for a 4 to 5, because I'll be putting a full 5-inch exhaust on it. Questions, post them in the comment section, like and subscribe. Thank you.